Big 12 Radio, it's Big 12 Today, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. We are presented by Modelo. And now let's talk with our good friend, Rachel Galligan, who does an incredible job covering women's basketball. What's up, Rach? How are you?
Good morning. How's everybody doing? I'm good.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you. All right, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. 3 games left. Huge slate last night. I'm going to start with my alma mater, Kansas, who's getting an insane freshman season from Jalea Davis. And, of course, Samaya Nichols is also fantastic. And they've had a really disappointing season, but suddenly they find themselves in a good spot after their win over Texas Tech last night. 8-9 in conference, 18-11 overall. They got a tough end of the season against Oklahoma State, at Oklahoma State. But, you know, we heard from the vice president of women's basketball for the Big 12 yesterday saying, you know, a 500 Big 12 team has never gotten left out of the field. So it feels like Kansas gets a win against Oklahoma State on Saturday, and they're in.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looking at just all these kind of middle of the pack teams and different kind of scenarios of what can play out here. I mean, obviously you look at things like the net, you're going to look at the overall schedule, you're going to look at, all those sorts of things. But a lot of, what the tournament's going to, or the committee's going to look at is going to be just the, the momentum that they have going into, March Madness and the NCAA tournament. They've won 3 in a row, really big win over Texas Tech. I think, just getting their second quad 1 win was really big. Obviously, they're a team that the best they can finish is going to be 9 through 13 in terms of seeding for the tournament. But, you have the firepower with Samaya Nichols, who is literally, I literally just put this stat out this morning. She's moved up into 6th in the all-time Big 12 free throws made list, and she's only a junior.
That's insane.
So like only a junior and just what she's doing. And then, Jalea Davis, in my opinion, should and very, very easily, could be up there in that conversation for freshman of the year. I know she missed some games, but national freshman of the year, in terms of leading all freshmen in conference scoring and in the country, has been just absolutely dynamic. And so, yeah, Kansas has always been a team that I think, the multiple times we've come on here and talk about it, you kind of wonder, they're a dangerous team because they have so many weapons. They just, a lot of their wins came within single digits. I think it was, I calculated a couple weeks ago, 3 of their 8 wins at the time had come within 3 points, or less that they had lost by. And so they've been in games, it's not like they're getting blown out. It's not like, they're just rolling over. This is a team that you just kind of get the sense that they could really start figuring this out. And if they caught wind and they caught some momentum at the right time, they could be not just a problem in, the Big 12 tournament, but if they could find a way to get into the NCAA tournament. I will say going up to Stillwater is a really difficult matchup, though. There's not very many games won there in Stillwater. I think they're 32-2 in the last 2 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah, Oklahoma State. So we'll see. That'll be a good one to finish out the season.
Rachel, we had a couple of women's basketball topics that we debated just a moment ago, and I love this question that Taman proposed. Who has the pieces to go further in the NCAA tournament, West Virginia or Texas Tech?
Oof, that's a good one. West Virginia has just continuously just impressed me all season long in terms of just, their guard play, especially, Jordan Harrison. And you just look at I don't know, how the way they play. That's a really tough one. And maybe it is a little bit biased with me because I'm with them a little bit too much. Not too much, but you know what I'm saying. I'm there all the time calling
Right.
Texas Tech.
You're too close to it.
What I love about Texas Tech is in some ways they sort of mirror the TCU method, if you will. TCU, the oldest team in all of Power Four conferences. I think that Texas Tech's second oldest team in all of the Power Four conferences. But Texas Tech, their defense is so effective. Not that West Virginia isn't. Obviously, theirs is, but their depth. They're so deep offensively. We having Snetta Collins and Jada Malone coming off the bench. When they are clicking, when they're able to set up their press, when they're able to really hone in on the defensive end of the floor, we know that this is one of the top defenses in the country. Didn't necessarily show it at times last night. I think last night in the Kansas game, one of their Achilles heels is is they're fouling. They put Kansas on the free throw line way too much. You can't do that against Samaya Nichols. But I like Texas Tech's veteran presence, their depth offensively. You've got Sonata Collins, who's been incredibly efficient. You got Bailey Maupin, who, when those two are on, they are really good. They can shoot the three ball exceptionally well. They can guard. They can defend you. Obviously, you could look right now. They've lost three of their last four, which is shocking to me as someone who holds this team in a really high regard. So I guess maybe just because of that, that makes me question a little bit what is the right answer there to your question. But I'm going to stick with Texas Tech in that, again, just because of the depth, the overall depth, and at the rate I've seen this team play offensively, when they're knocking down shots and they're guarding at the way they can, I think that they really can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the country. Matter of fact, when I watched them in that Baylor game, 87-56, it wasn't just a nice, they absolutely dominated that game. And I texted one of the assistants afterwards. I said, if you guys play like that, that's a Sweet 16/Elite 8 team, in my opinion. So they have the tools. It's just a matter, can it come together?
I forgot you asked that question. For some reason, I thought I did. But I'm glad you agreed with me, because that was my answer, and for that exact reason. They just have
good.
They have too much. They have too much firepower. TCU, are they like? I know we've been talking about how good the Big 12 is at the top. Are they becoming like a legit Final Four contender here?
I think it's possible. I think it's absolutely possible. Obviously, when you have one of the greatest playmakers in all of college basketball, men or women, are passing Olivia Miles, I think anything's possible, right? And then, Marta Suarez has really come on. She put on, in my opinion, probably the best performance I've seen in her career. And she's a veteran player. She played so well last night or yesterday against Cincinnati. 32 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. She can do a little bit of everything. Is really, her stock just continues to increase. And then you've got great size on the interior. You've got Clara Silva, you've got Kennedy Basham. Basham's really coming along and giving them good minutes off the bench. I think, they have all the potential in the world to make a deep run. I definitely, at least bare minimum, I see this as an Elite 8 team. I think in order to be a Final Four team, this is anybody in the country, you've got to have some luck on your side too. So if, you look at some of the top 5, 6 teams in the country and you have in that conversation, I have no reason to not say that TCU can't be in that conversation. Because again, the same things. They can guard, they're veteran, they're older, they're experienced, and they've got a lot of offensive firepower. And I think when Marta Suarez is playing as well as she is playing, that just takes this team to a whole other level. She struggled a little bit a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago or so, and you could visibly tell that this team was not at the same rate that we're seeing right now. So not that everyone always asks who's the X factor. I don't know that I would necessarily call Suarez the X factor, but obviously when you have that combination of Olivia Miles and Suarez, she's got to be really good for them to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, ultimately the big ESPN College Game Day showdown this weekend, Baylor, TCU in Fort Worth. What does that game come down to?
First off, I think it's incredible that we're getting this opportunity. How exciting to be able to have ESPN College Game Day in Fort Worth. I think, Baylor's got a tall task ahead of them. Let's just be honest. TCU has their number right now. They've won 41 straight games at home. So what's it going to take to go into Fort Worth and try and win that game, especially when you look at the last matchup, which let's dissect that a little bit. TCU wins that game 83-67 in Waco. I think Baylor tried to, what's the right word? I don't want to say outsmart themselves, but they tried to game plan for Miles in a certain way that in my opinion, hindsight's 2020, but in my opinion, they got away from who they really are. And so what I'm excited to see is, they kind of forced Miles to be more of an offensive threat than what she's used to being, instead of allowing her to get into the paint and spray out and get assists and create and facilitate. So forcing Miles to score, well, obviously she can score. She dropped 40 points in that game. She went 10 of 20 from the three-point line. So that's not going to work. I think what we have to remember about Baylor is this is a top 3 3-point defensive team in the country. And so Baylor's ability to kind of lean into who they actually are defensively, play a little bit more to who are we at Baylor? What makes us really good? How are we effective? Well, it starts on the defensive end of the floor in the half court, also, being disruptive around the rim and coming up with steals and getting out in transition. And also, like, you can't have your main players not show up. I think it's been a really encouraging sign to see players like Bella Fauntleroy, who went through a little bit of slump at that time during that loss. They need her to score the basketball. Dariana Littlepage Buggs, we know she's going to be high motor in terms of her ability to score and rebound and go get second opportunities. She's going to bring it. Talia Scott's got to be really good. You've got to get really good minutes in production out of Jana Van Geitenbeek. And so I'm excited to see Baylor be themselves, is what I'm trying to say, because when this team is really good, they can go toe to toe with anyone in the country. But, as we said, TCU is the preseason favorite for a reason. They're 11th in the country for a reason. They've clinched, a share of the regular season for a reason, and they've won 41 straight games in Fort Worth for a reason. So big opportunity for Baylor, but they're going to have to obviously come up with a much different game plan than the first meeting in the regular season.
Who are we sleeping on right now in the Big 12?
Sleeping on, gosh, it's interesting, right? If you would have asked me 2 days ago, I would have said Colorado, who they've won 8 of their last 2 and really climbed up in the standings. I don't know if you can say sleeping on them because they have gotten notice. I think, in my opinion, like I've kind of said this for the last couple of weeks, I think Oklahoma State, that's a team that came into the season with a lot of expectation. They have so much offensive firepower in their roster in terms of they can really score. They can really shoot the basketball. That's what this team is going to do. I think Staley Hurd is the engine that makes this team go. And she's playing really well, and she's like competing at the highest level. I think she's one of the best competitors in the country. I think that this team can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the country. They were ranked earlier on in the season, kind of dropped out of those rankings. I think at times have been a little bit inconsistent. Coming off that win at Iowa State, that got my attention last night. Winning in Ames against Iowa State, let's not forget, that was the preseason number 2 in the poll. So I think Oklahoma State, I really like this team. Is it possible that they catch wind in Kansas City? And, they're definitely an NCAA tournament team, no shadow of a doubt. But could they make a deeper run and really turn some heads? I think so. And you've got Achola Cott, you've got some size on their interior that's really, really producing for them. That's kind of been their Achilles heel. You've got Staley Hurd, Micah Gray, Jaden Wooten. Just a really, really good team. And they go as J.C. Hoyt goes. And so I really like how tough this team is. I like how much energy they brought last night. So I don't know. I think I could mention a few teams, but Oklahoma State, I just want to give them a little bit of airtime because I've been really impressed with them. And I think at times, a little underachieved a little bit throughout the course of this season.
Rachel, there are 9 teams in the Big 12 that are currently above 500 in league play. 8 of those teams have 20 or more wins. In terms of bids for the NCAA tournament, Utah appears to be, kind of right on the bubble at 18-11 and 9-8 in league. Is 8 the number, or could it be 9 for the Big 12?
What was the stat that I read or I put out yesterday? It was teams with 11-plus regular season conference wins that made the NCAA tournament from 99 to 2000 until now. In the Big 12, there was only one team that didn't make it. And so it's interesting, right? It kind of looks like that 11-win number is an important benchmark. So, okay, realistically, how many are going to get to that? We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I obviously we're doing everything we can to help, kind of promote. And you really look at some of those bubble teams. I think Arizona State losing that game last night was kind of a gut punch to BYU. They needed that win. I'm hoping for 8. Long story short.
Yeah. Rachel Galligan. Rachel, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I'll catch you guys soon, okay?
Okay.
Rachel Galligan joining us here on Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio. Yeah, a really fun race coming down to the finish here, James.
Yeah, and highlighted by what's going to take place on Sunday, ESPN College Game Day in Fort Worth, sellout crowd, rivalry, everything at stake. Because if Baylor, that ultimately decides who's in the driver's seat here in the Big 12 the rest of the regular season. TCU's 14-3. Baylor's 13-4 in league. If TCU wins that game, they're basically a game at worst, probably 2 games up on everybody else. If Baylor wins that game, Baylor climbs to the top of the league standings because they would have the tiebreaker. This is the first time these teams have met. And the 3 teams at the top of the standings, TCU's 8-2 in their last 10, West Virginia's 8-2 in their last 10, Baylor's 7-3. Like, we're starting to see some separation on the women's side too.
That's James Westling. I'm Ari Tepkin. It's Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. And coming up next, we continue our series in grading the Big 12 transfer classes. The Athletic graded the transfer portal classes, and we react to that. That's next. But first, the Big 12 Conference Wrestling is back at the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The 2026 Big 12 Wrestling Championship presented by Allstate returns Friday, March 6th and Saturday, March 7th in the heart of downtown Tulsa. The best wrestlers in the country battle for individual titles, Big 12 Championship, and seating in the NCAA Championships. Tickets and premium hospitality are available now at bokcenter.com. That's bokcenter.com/events. Big 12 Wrestling at the BOK Center in Tulsa, March 6th and 7th. This is Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.